Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to a new series of videos where I'll be ranking what I consider to be the best JRPGs of every single year. However, for this first video, I'm gonna cover games from 1985 all the way to 1990 because we didn't even get 10 JRPGs on every single year until 1991. Now, I only have one rule. I'm gonna focus on the North American release dates of every single JRPG. That means if an RPG was released in 1995, for example, but was localized to North America until 1997, then that RPG is going to be in the 1997 video. With that clarified, people, let's begin! Number 10. Little Ninja Brothers. This is an action RPG that plays like a very early beat-em up. It was also one of the very first JRPGs to include a two-player co-op mode. It's mostly a comedy focusing on two kids trying to save China land from an evil emperor. Yeah. Battles are random, taking place in an overview perspective. Here is where the beat-em up elements shine through. In towns though, it changes to a top-down view perspective. Pretty fun game to play still nowadays and criminally overlooked. Number 9. Legacy of the Wizard. This is an early experiment by Falcom, another action RPG acting as a side-scroller. I could call it a Metroidvania type of game even though that term didn't exist back then, but you get the idea. The funniest and most interesting thing about this game is that you can choose between several different characters from the same family! Obviously, each has their own ups and downs. This game can be hard as nails and cryptic at the same time, but if you get into it, I guarantee a lot of old school fun. Number 8. Dragon Warrior 2. One of the hardest JRPGs on the NES for being also cryptic and unbalanced. It's the black sheep of the Dragon Quest family, alright, but it's far from being a bad game. Still holds up pretty good nowadays, I think. On a side note, in this second entry, you finally had party members, something that I believe should have happened from the first game. It also has a really interesting story and soundtrack. Number 7. Final Fantasy. The very first in the iconic series, one of the most historically important JRPGs of all time and the start of a trending. Classic for its battle mechanics side by side in screens that somehow resemble simple menus. A unique job system was also introduced for your 4 playable characters. It's a short but fun adventure, still cool to play nowadays, if merely out of curiosity to see how it all began with this franchise. Number 6. Phantasy Star. Another beginning of an iconic series and one of the earliest science fiction JRPGs in existence. It stands out for having a female heroine in a story-driven adventure. You follow Alice in a quest to avenge the death of her brother. Like many other games from this era, it was also cryptic and very hard, especially for its long mazes viewed in first person. A great soundtrack, cast of characters, and neat battle mechanics played in turns. Number 5. Crystalis. An overlooked gem on the NES, brutally difficult but also addictive and fun. I think this is one of the very first JRPGs to combine science fiction with medieval fantasy elements. For a game from the early 90s, it was totally ahead of its time. With great pixel art and advanced graphics, Crystalis is, without a doubt, another important title in the genre. Even though it's tough as nails, it's easy to get into and easy to understand. Definitely a beautiful game that deserves more love. Number 4. Dragon Warrior. We're still going with classic starts on important RPG franchises. Dragon Warrior, originally known as Dragon Quest, is probably among the most beloved on the NES. Threw the series into success right from the beginning, revolutionized the industry of turn-based gaming forever, and so it became a pioneer in the genre in Japan as the godfather of them all. Number 3. Phantasy Star 2. Just like Crystalis, it mixes both the future and the past into a highly unique fantasy world. Once again, we're facing an unforgiving game in terms of difficulty and a legendary grindfest, infamous for being almost unbeatable without a guide. Strong focus on its story and characters, something rarely seen in RPGs of this era. Its turn-based battle system was a very well done evolution from the first game, just like its amazing soundtrack. Number 2. Ys 2. Released for the first time in North America on the TurboGrafx 16, an underrated console made to compete with Nintendo and Sega. It is the best version of this game during this era, a direct sequel to Ancient Ys Vanished. Great action RPG, known for its bumping mechanics instead of hack and slash. And of course, with outstanding music that over the course of time became legendary. Number 1. Ys 1. Again, for this era, the TurboGrafx version is the best, and it will continue to be so until another remake of both games on the PSP. They were known as Ys Books 1 and 2, available on the same release of the TurboGrafx, known as the PC Engine in Japan. Just like in its sequel, we follow the adventures of adult Kristin into an epic journey in search for the mystical books of Ys. Fantastic game, short adventure, easy to understand with fast-paced action and great controls. Another one with a kick-ass soundtrack that most fans will never ever forget. Honestly, if I had to choose the best of the 80s, it will easily be Dragon Warrior, but I included 1990 here, and in my opinion, it just can't compete against the Ys remix on the TurboGrafx and Phantasy Star 2 on the Genesis. That's it for this video, everybody. See you in 1991.